In this installment of the C-Suite Spotlight, I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by Richard Fung, the CEO of the Six Semiconductor up in Markham, Canada. Richard has a pretty storied career over the last just about quarter of a century. Starting in 2000, he joined the legendary ATI Technologies as an analog design engineer. And in 2007, when ATI was acquired by AMD, he took on his first leadership role and was with the company through 2011. And at that point, he actually took a role with Peraso Technologies to be their director of engineering and later on director of R&D. In 2013, he began his entrepreneurial journey where he started R.E.C Consulting. And that was an electrical engineering and design consulting company that focuses on custom and mixed signal IP design and chip integration. In 2018, he actually then got with four of the past ATI colleagues, and they decided to form the Six Semiconductor with the goal of becoming the preeminent leader in memory subsystem PHY IP. Richard and his team are currently working on some of the greatest challenges in memory optimization today, which I'm thrilled to have him on so we can hear how their work is impacting technologies in the AI, machine learning, and accelerated compute space and beyond. So with that as the introduction, welcome, Richard.
Oh, thank you, Justin.
Absolutely. And as our audience is well aware at this point, the question I love to start with, because it elicits such an interesting response, it gets to the heart of the individual. So if we're to harken way back before 2000 even, before you started school, was there a key moment or what was that key moment that you decided or that you knew I want to be an engineer?
I see. So as a kid, I always loved building things. From an early age of playing with Lego to connecting up hi-fi systems in the late 80s to playing electric guitar in a rock band as a teenager. They all involve some level of creativity or hands-on involvement with electrical signals. And with playing in a rock band where we used to write songs, our own lyrics, my journey for creativity started. So it was natural that I wanted to become an electrical engineer focusing on circuit and system design.
Very interesting. I'm not going to ask you to sing, but I will. I will ask you. Can you walk us through your career journey thus far and highlight
Mhm.
any specific pivotal decisions or relationships that ultimately led to your current role as the CEO of the Six Semiconductor?
So I started my career in ATI Technologies in year 2000 as an analog design engineer. And as you said, in 2007, right around when AMD acquired ATI, some changes opened up the opportunity for me to become a manager. And back then, I was actually very hesitant on taking on a management role because all I wanted to do was just excel on the technical front. But due to the circumstances at that time, I decided to take on the challenge and give it a try. And I was fortunate enough that in that role, I was allowed to remain technical. So my journey for a dual role of both a manager and a design engineer started at that point. And I think with this, it really brought the team together very well because as I always understood the problems at hand and the difficulties of the problems we were trying to solve. I was actively working with the team in designing and solving problems on a daily basis. So to me, I think being technical made managing the team easier because we spoke the same language. And since then, I've taken on the management role at Peraso, the startup, and then as well as independent consulting, which opened me up to the business side of engineering before starting the Six Emmy with my four other co-founders.
Awesome, and a really good segue to my next question. So
Mhm.
you mentioned four co-founders. It's common for a company to have one or maybe two co-founders. You guys
Mhm.
have five. Tell
Yes.
tell tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, we get asked this all the time. So all the co-founders, we actually met a long time ago, around anywhere ranging from 1998 to 2002 time frame, and we have actually been all been friends since then. Three of the co-founders at some point worked in my team at the IO group at AMD, and we were maintaining our friendship outside of work. We have always complemented each other in our work, and we're always able to have open discussion about anything together. We've gone through hard times together and we've gone through good times together. And I think this sort of relationship naturally led us to starting a company together.
Very cool. And for those that aren't familiar, can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about what the Six Semiconductor does?
Ah, thank you for this commercial time slot. The Six Semiconductor, or TSS, is a subsidiary of Open Edges Technology in Korea. We have been acquired by Open Edges since the end of 2019. While our parent company specializes in the development of NPU, network on a chip, and memory controller IPs, we at TSS specialize in the development of advanced DDR5 IPs. So together, we have the complete memory subsystem fully validated, ready for our customers to integrate into their SoCs. So over the last few years, we have developed the GDDR6, LPDDR5 5X, LPDDR4 4X, and even HBM3 PHYs and memory controllers together, fully validated on our own test chip first, and then subsequently onto our customers' products in various process technologies.
Now, in the early days of building the company, what
Mhm.
specific market need or challenge did you and the co-founders identify, and how did the Six Semiconductor technology address it?
The company was founded on building the GDDR6 PHY. As the co-founders, we actually together have built multiple GDDR5 PHYs in our past career that have gone into many production SoCs. And at that time, we did not see too many players trying to develop these types of advanced DDR5 IPs. So we went ahead and started TSS and began our focus on building all advanced DDR5 IPs. And by advanced, I'm referring to data rates that are in excess of 5 gigabit per second and up.
So, and now that there are a lot of competitors in this space, so can you tell us a little bit about what differentiates your technology from other companies that you might consider competitors today?
That's a very good question. So the competitive space in DDR5 is actually relatively small when comparing to other IPs like SerDes, and especially with some of the recent acquisitions by others, it's even getting smaller. So we differentiate ourselves by developing the latest DDR technologies in slightly more mature tech nodes than our competitors. While our competitors might be developing in the latest tech nodes with the smallest geometries, we would take a step back and develop the same specification in N plus 1 or N plus 2 tech nodes. So this would allow our SoC customers to benefit from the latest DRAM technologies in these more mature tech nodes. And I guess when the chiplet ecosystems become more mature, our development strategy should play very well because typically I/O chiplets are developed in N plus one or N plus two tech nodes from the core compute die.
Absolutely, and I would also then assume that it would offer your customers a cost benefit as well.
Most definitely.
Awesome. Within the AI machine learning sector, where do you foresee the fastest growth occurring in the next 1 to 2 years?
I definitely think it's from the applications perspective first. As most would say, we're only at the beginning of the AI revolution. And if we look at history, applications and the corresponding hardware drive each other to move forward. We have the PCs in the 80s, internet in the 90s, the uprise of mobile devices in the last 2 decades. It's always applications driving the hardware to advance further and further, while the applications themselves become ubiquitous in our daily lives. So I think the next couple of years, there will be more and more AI machine learning applications that will become our day-to-day lives, where we have to continuously improve our hardware to meet the growing demands.
And kind of a side question, what is that what has you excited about the chiplet space and your ability to contribute to it?
Yes, most definitely. I mean, these days people have to get creative in how to build high performance SoC, and memory actually is in the center stage these days in machine learning. So we're very excited to offer, alternate solutions to our customers.
Awesome. And I want to ask one more follow up to that. Was there a core moment that you or one of your co-founders or combination
Mhm.
recognized the seismic shift moving more to the chiplet space? Because
Mhm.
I know that you're very excited about it.
We hear a lot of talks about it. The whole thing is actually, I think a lot of people are waiting for someone to demonstrate the whole ecosystem successfully once. And there's still a lot of challenge involved in chiplet space in terms of security, security between chiplets and as such. So we're actively monitoring and working with partners in the ecosystem in developing chiplets.
In your view, if we're to get more granular and memory specific, what do
Mhm.
you view as the next big change in memory? What's that going to
Mhm.
be?
I see. People are doing different things with memory these days for AI. There are people doing the near memory compute, where SoCs would not use any external DRAM, and they would be computing closer memory elements to minimize power and latency. And then there's the other camp that uses a massive amount of external DRAM, high performance DRAM, in their memory hierarchy for AI, such as the case for using HBM. I think the big change would be folks that are going to get creative on how to use memory in their system, or any hybrid approach for the most optimized system performance in terms of PPA and cost.
Okay. And so memory is obviously gonna play a huge role in AI's development. And you mentioned in-memory compute. Some companies are even looking at on-memory compute, et cetera. This will be paramount to a phrase we hear a lot, which is responsible AI.
Mhm.
If the six semiconductor is successful, how will the six semiconductor make AI more responsible?
So now, as PHY designers, we understand the concept of energy per bit very well. That's the amount of number of picojoules required to transport a single bit of data from or to the DRAM to the PHY. And this is a very important metric for our designs. We always have a belief that aside from continuously improving our design to drive best in class, not only in performance and area, but also in power. Our mandate, together with open edges, is always to drive the smallest footprint and lowest power DDR memory subsystem while having the same or better performance than our competitors.
Now, can you tell us about the most exciting response you've received from the market so far? Or can you share a success story about a breakthrough implementation one of your customers had by using your technology?
The most exciting responses from our customers is always our ability to develop the latest memory standards using a more mature tech nodes. For example, our customers are very excited about the availability of LPDDR5X operating at 8533 megabit per second in 7 nanometer or 6 nanometer technologies. And we're actually bringing this LPDDR5X speed backwards to 12 nanometer and 16 nanometer technologies also. Another exciting technology that we bring to our customers is our quad rank support for LPDDR5X DRAM, where they can actually double their memory capacity at a system level.
Well, now leading a startup and building a company involves finding uber talented individuals where everyone
Mhm,
has to be best in class at what they do. Can you
mhm.
share with us what do you look for in engineers and leaders?
So the number one quality that we look for is always their personality, because we believe knowledge can be acquired with the right attitude, but one's personality is very hard to change. We like folks that are honest in admitting what they don't know and be confident to express and share what they do know. And with this attitude, we can cultivate leaders and engineering mentors who can help each other and be honest with each other in solving problems. And I always tell everyone we're in the business of solving problems.
Absolutely. Can you share with us how that hiring philosophy has maybe come to be over the course of your leadership?
So it's actually, well, it does come from experience and the past of bad experience where we would hire based on academic credentials, but personality was not right. And overall, it actually, the results is more negative than positive. But conversely, we hire someone with the right mindset. They're willing to learn, they're willing to share. Overall, in a few years, they become the better engineer. I always say engineering, real life engineering is not like studying in school. Studying in school, you actually have a fixed answer. solving real life problems. You're looking for solutions that currently don't have answers.
Absolutely. And that's where attitude over aptitude always wins. So,
Yes.
um, what's one of the biggest challenges that you face today in recruiting to the Six Semiconductor?
I guess with Toronto being quite healthy in the hardware ecosystem, both bigger and small companies, recruiting has always been difficult, even from our day one. Which is why we're actually recruiting a lot of interns these days. We have about 15% of our engineering being internship students, and we're actually setting course of training the next generation of engineers. What we saw was a gap in the last 10 years that there was a time where there were a lot less hardware engineers in the market. And some of our co-founders were internship students themselves in the past. So we thought this is actually a good way to, introduce semiconductor design to the next generation of engineers and get them excited about hardware design. With the right training, they quickly become helpful in contributing to our designs and validations. And when the fit is well, we hire them right back after they finish the last year of school. And of course, we'll always look on the lookout for the right senior engineer, but we're not really relying on them to walk through our doors. With the internship program, we bring them in after they graduate, and we're effectively training the next generation of senior talents to the way that we believe engineers should be trained.
So you mentioned, not relying upon the senior engineer to walk through your door. However, on the other side, if there is an engineer who doesn't need a job but may be curious, Six Semiconductor curious, we'll call it, how do you articulate the mission of the company to get them excited?
This is a very interesting question. So, the mission of the 6ME is not only to solve problems, but to identify them as well. In fact, problems have to be identified before they can be solved, which is why we always encourage innovations. And innovations come from identifying areas of improvement, identifying the problem statement. And we always welcome like minded individuals who like to challenge their own designs, challenge themselves to do better time after time, to join our mission of becoming better day after day, year after year. And after all, that's basically what engineering is all about.
So, with that being said, challenging yourself, your own assumptions to innovate, it takes time, it takes sacrifice, it takes perseverance. How do you keep your team motivated and moving in the same direction and towards the same goals as you focus on creating new technologies?
Now, this has to do very much with our company culture. So as opposed to everyone having just a little bit, a small bit of a design that they do day after day, our engineers learn more and more at the system level and contribute more and more over time to the overall architecture, as well as design methodology. So this keeps things interesting for everyone, while everyone's knowledge increases over time. We as a company like to solve problems the right way and not the easy way. And by the right way, it is actually from a customer's perspective. So this gets interesting as we would have to think from a customer's point of view, how they would use our product, how they would integrate our design, and how their silicon bring up would be like. And with this, everyone in the company would have to learn bit by bit how the entire system works in order to get the customer's perspective. So this is in contrary to how a lot of big companies work, where designers are often isolated in designing small blocks without much knowledge of the entire system. So this actually would keep everyone very interested in what they do. Effectively, we are the David fighting the Goliath out there in the memory subsystem IP world, which to me is always interesting and meaningful on its own.
Awesome. The hero's journey. Um, Now, as you prepare to take the Six Semiconductor through its next phase of growth,
Mhm.
what are some of the key concerns on your mind regarding expanding the team, and how are you going to address those?
Expanding the team to grow to the next level requires changes to team structures. And scaling for growth is what our management team have been discussing a lot over the past year. I mean, back then when we only had like 20 people, communications and alignment was easy. We talked together, every on a daily basis, anyways. But as we grew the team, how our communication and design methodologies can grow so that we don't lose efficiency becomes very important, and it's actually hard. We did not like to have too many levels of hierarchy. So it comes down to how our horizontal teams can work together effectively and seamlessly. And these are the challenges we're solving right now.
Now, you've been immersed in in the hardware space in Canada for quite a while now. What's something that is surprising that or that other leaders may find surprising in other regions about to learn about the Canadian hardware space?
I would have to say is the connectedness of the Toronto hardware industry is amazing. I can only speak to Toronto because I guess I've been here most of my time. Um, a lot of folks that actually started companies came from actually two companies that were around 20 years ago. A lot of folks that started company came from either ATI Technologies or Snowbush. And once you actually knew folks from these two companies, you almost know everyone that's active out there today. I mean, although there are some exceptions, but most people have actually worked at either one of these two companies, and I find that really amazing.
Absolutely. And, I have found personally quite a cohesiveness that doesn't really exist in other regions in the world. And everybody really pulling for each other in that
Yes.
Toronto and Canadian ecosystem. What are some of the most exciting things that you have seen, efforts made that you have seen to bring forth that next generation to keep this ecosystem alive and strong and thriving?
I think it's actually everyone is encouraging each other to actually start companies or do something different, and that's especially the case in the last few years. I see a lot of companies are starting out doing something different than what's out there today, and I guess with a company like or incubator like a venture lab being in Markham is also helping very much the hardware ecosystem to grow. So I expect actually in the next 10 years, there will be a lot more hardware companies in Toronto and hiring will be a lot harder going forward.
Absolutely. And final question for you.
Yeah.
How did you decide on the name the Six Semiconductor?
This one actually I've been explaining to a lot of people every time. So Toronto has a nickname called the Six, and we were actually trying to look for a name that's easy to remember. And what's easier to remember than just a number, the six? And that's why we call ourselves the Six Semiconductor.
So, one final item. How can people get in touch with you for inquiries, whether it be on sales, partnerships, or potentially working for you in the Six Semiconductor?
I guess they can actually always contact us on LinkedIn or on my personal LinkedIn, or they can email us at info@the6semi.com.
Well, I am so thankful. We have tremendous gratitude that you would spend your time in sharing about the not only your background but also the Six Semiconductor, and we're excited to see what you do in the future.
Thank you, Justin. It was a pleasure talking to you.